All right.
All the state money we get.
Good afternoon, everyone. This is a great day for our city. It's a great day for the Rockaways. And we are here to celebrate the opening of the beach season. And it is an especially good day for the people of the Rockaways because after so much struggle, after so much fight, after so much fortitude on the people of the communities that make up this peninsula, real progress before our very eyes, coming back stronger than ever after Sandy. For the first time since Sandy hit, this half-mile stretch of the boardwalk from Beach 86th Street to Beach 97th Street will be open to the public. And I want to say at the outset, so many people worked so hard on this. We're going to hear from our elected officials and from our Parks Commissioner in a moment, but I want to thank just so many people who worked hard to get us to this day, so much partnership. You know, success has many fathers and mothers, and we're standing here in a better, stronger boardwalk because so many people worked hard to get this done. And we will soon see more progress. As we know, because of FEMA, the federal government's agency that helps us after disasters, FEMA has come through and awarded the City of New York $480 million to rebuild this boardwalk. And I am very happy to announce and make clear to everyone that if there are any funds left over after this boardwalk is completed, those funds will stay in the Rockaways. The resources will be used to continue our resiliency efforts as part of an ongoing commitment we have to support the Rockaways, not only in recovery from Sandy and in resiliency, but for the greater economic strength of this community going forward. You know, part of the reason we have the opportunity to make this announcement, one of the biggest reasons, is because our senior Senator Chuck Schumer worked so hard. If you know the story about the FEMA aid and everything that happened in the wake of Sandy, there were some in the Congress who did not want to help New York and New Jersey, even though for generations there had been a common understanding that we all help each other in this country. Wherever disaster strikes, we're supposed to be there for each other. But those rules started to change. And it was because Senator Schumer is as good as he is and as strong a leader as he is that he made sure we got the resources we need. He was going to be here with us today, and he really wanted to be here, but he had additional votes in the Senate today and had to stay in Washington. I can safely say, given the challenges that we know are happening in Washington, D.C. right now, he would rather be here on the boardwalk right now, I guarantee it. So thank you, Senator Schumer. You're going to hear from our elected officials in a moment and from our Parks Commissioner, but I want to just take a moment. A sad fact has to be acknowledged, and it's one that has caused all of us to feel pain over these last days. We lost a very good young man that some of my colleagues here worked with directly, Midshipman Justin Zemser, who we lost in the Amtrak crash in Philadelphia. His mother, Susan Zemser, is here. Susan, where are you? Are you still here? She was here a little while ago. We want to thank her. She is a strong and admirable woman. Susan, thank you so much. Thank you. We appreciate you. And I'd like to ask everyone, let's just take a moment of silence in Justin's honor. Thank you. Well, back to this good moment, this exciting moment, this boardwalk taking shape. You know, again, a lot of work went into it because it was not just about making sure people had access to the boardwalk and the beach and something that was so important to their lives. It was also about making sure that it would withstand whatever Mother Nature threw at us. We learned a lot of very tough lessons after Sandy. One of the most profound lessons is whatever we do from this point on, we have to plan for that unthinkable storm. We have to be ready for the unexpected. This boardwalk was built with that in mind. This is what is the first step of a bigger effort. And you'll hear some of the details from Commissioner Silver in a moment. Here we are today. A year from today, we will gather again, because at that point we'll have a continuous boardwalk. The new sections, the old sections, united, so that you can go the whole length of the original boardwalk. That's 1 year from now. And then Memorial Day 2017, 2 years from now, the entire project will be 100% complete. All new, all complete, for the benefit of this community. It's a lot of work, and we're going to work to make sure it happens quickly and well, but it's already, thank God, ahead of the original schedule, because people on my team and others said, we are not going to wait. We're going to push this as fast as it can be done, but also make sure it's done for the long haul. The FEMA grant allowed us to continue to build this out, to make it resilient, to elevate it properly, to put the other barriers and other features around to protect it for the long haul, and obviously the amenities, the lights and ramps and stairs, all the things we need, the benches. All of that is coming in because of the support of FEMA. And this is also part of resiliency, because all of these measures will protect not just the boardwalk, protect the community beyond the boardwalk. So this boardwalk is a wonderful thing unto itself, but it's also another layer of protection for the community. We learned from Sandy what we'd read about so many times, climate change and the effect it was going to have on our lives. It's real. It's real. We felt it, the worst natural disaster in the history of the city. We know we have to change not just what we do in terms of resiliency. We have to change what we do in our lifestyle so that we change this trajectory of climate change that's undermining all of us. So if you look at our plan we put out recently, One NYC, there's a lot of resiliency measures. There's extraordinary resiliency measures, and we appreciate all the support we've gotten from the federal government and the state as part of that. But it's also about reducing our greenhouse gas emissions to get to the core of the problem. This city, more than any other big city of this size on the earth, has taken the most aggressive actions. We're committed to an 80% reduction of greenhouse gases by 2050, and that's to make us all safer. And I mentioned the kind of partnership. It's been extraordinary. You know, all of us have our moments when we complain about some of the things we wish were different, but it's also really good to take stock of when people were fair to us. And FEMA has been so fair and so good to us. They have come across time and again. They've kept their commitments. They've been good partners throughout. We've also had a great partner in the Army Corps of Engineers. The Army Corps has already put 3.5 million cubic yards of sand along this coastline, which is an extraordinary impact for the safety of these communities. And we have additionally, trying to get to the larger point about strengthening these communities for the long haul economically as well, we've allocated $7.5 million in federal funds for streetscape and resiliency upgrades for downtown Far Rockaway, for the commercial corridor there. This is all about building up the Rockaways in a number of ways. You know, we've talked about the physical and the environmental reality. Obviously, we talked about the fact we're opening the beach, and that signals something for all of us and our families, a wonderful time of year. But the boardwalk also is about heritage. It's about the identity and culture of the extraordinary communities of this peninsula. As you history buffs will know, part of this boardwalk dates back to the 1890s, the original boardwalk. It was a centerpiece of the Rockaways when this was one of the great resort communities that people flocked to. And now a centerpiece of a community that is home to almost 115,000 New Yorkers. So the boardwalk means so much. The boardwalk is a representation of the spirit, the culture, and what's special about this place. And when the boardwalk bore the brunt of Sandy, I think people felt it in their hearts. It was a symbol. It was part of their lives that was broken. I saw literally the first few days after the storm, I was out here and I saw those sections of the boardwalk strewn all over streets in such a painful way, and you just felt that the world was upside down. Things were out of place. And you could tell it was painful to people, but I got to tell you, even in the days after, there was a fighting spirit. There's no question about it. I never met a person in the Rockaways who said, we're giving up. You think of all the devastation. I didn't meet anyone who said, we're not going to build back, we're not going to fight. And this new boardwalk represents the spirit of the Rockaways, never giving up, resilient, strong, and now stronger than ever. A few quick sentences in Spanish, and then I'll introduce our Parks Commissioner. Hoy reabrimos otra sección del malecón de Rockaway. Estamos trabajando rápido para restaurar por completo y reforzar nuestras playas. Con la ayuda federal, estamos construyendo un malecón más resistente y usaremos los fondos restantes para fortalecer a Rockaway. You notice how Rockaway is the same in Spanish? With that, I want to thank our Parks Commissioner. He has a big job. He has so much of the land of this city. It's his responsibility to keep strong and open and clean and good for so many of us all over the city. It's a big job, and we have the right man for it. Parks Commissioner Mitch Silver.
Thank you, Mayor. I have been to many beach openings throughout the week, but I have to say this one is special. I am so thrilled to be here today to celebrate the opening of the first full section of the reconstructed boardwalk. This is a huge step forward of the rebuilding and protecting the Rockaway community after this devastation of Hurricane Sandy. And I want to thank so many of you of the Rockaway community, the civics, the friends who came to public meetings, who helped make this a reality. You really need to give yourselves a round of applause because you have been amazing throughout this process. At almost 7 miles long, Rockaway is New York's longest beach and one of the largest public beaches in the country. It offers swimming, fishing, and the city's only surfing beach. And Rockaway sure does. And someone's supposed to teach me this summer. And Rockaway has become renowned for its great food and concessions. Be sure to follow the instructions whenever you go into the water. Please do not go in the water if there's no lifeguard on duty. Another tip, it is never too early or too late to learn how to swim.
Amen.
Of all ages, you can contact Parks, go to our website, and we have places throughout the city, whether you're in the second grade or you want to be in the second grade, you can learn how to swim or even brush up on your skills. Also, never leave children unattended. Even when a lifeguard is present, if you're in the water with a child, please for helping to guide the agency and the community through this critical construction project. Dottie's been out in the Rockaway just about every week, and since Sandy hit, to keeping an eye on the conditions and to keep the community members updated. I'd also like to take a moment to thank the Rockaway community members here today who have been tireless advocates through this whole Boardwalk rebuilding process and the neighborhood. And we've come a long way since Hurricane Sandy, and today is a testament of your strength and resilience. We have a lot of great events Rockaway this summer, from fitness classes to movie nights and even some pet-friendly events. So I hope to see everyone on the beach this summer. Please enjoy your summer. Be smart, be water safe, but most importantly, enjoy this beautiful boardwalk. Thank you very much.
Yes. I want to first just have a parental moment here, speaking to my fellow parents. My wife was a swimmer in high school, competitive swimmer, so our kids were taught swimming really early on at our YMCA in Park Slope in Brooklyn. I wanted to say to parents, if you have not had the opportunity to give your kids the chance to learn to swim, I want to pick up on what Commissioner Silver said. Please make it a priority. It's one of the smart things you can do for your kids, especially if they're very young, but even if they're older, take the time to get them that opportunity to learn to swim. It is one of the things that people really need for their own protection in life, and as Mitch said, on the Parks Department website, we'll tell you where you can get lessons for your child or for anyone of any age. It's a very smart thing to do. Let me just acknowledge a couple of people before I turn to the borough president to speak. First, want to thank representing real tough time getting back on their feet, but Kyle and his team stuck with them every step along the way, and now open as of when? October. They'll be open in October. So Madeline Chocolate's back. Good for the Rockaways. Jobs for hardworking people. More chocolate for all of us. That is a good thing all around. The borough president, she has a whole borough to cover. It's not quite as big as Brooklyn, but it's a very big borough.
That's challenging. We actually are bigger, just so you know. You just got more people. But
Just got more people. That's a little concession.
We are better.
We can agree that all boroughs are great. But the borough president has a very big job, and I want everyone to know that she and I served in the city council together. We have a tremendous relationship, but she takes full advantage of that tremendous relationship to call at all hours and remind me about how important it is to do things like get the boardwalk right and many, many other issues. So she has been a strong and energetic advocate for the Rockaways. Borough President Melinda Katz.
Good afternoon, Rockaways. Can we get a round of applause for Mayor de Blasio, please? Just to feel a little love. Let's go. Thank you.
That just shows the generosity of Queens.
We're very generous. We like giving them a hard time.
Generous people.
Let me first thank everyone just for their tremendous advocacy over the last several years. I got to tell you, you're a tough bunch. And we wouldn't have it any other way. And Commissioner Silver, thank you so much for your work. And to all the elected officials, I got to tell you, your elected officials don't have an easy job sometimes, but they do it with grace and they do it well. So thank you very much for your hard work and advocacy. I have the honor of being the borough president of the entire borough of Queens, and we are a borough of neighborhoods. And that's really the main thing about our borough. We call ourselves Forest Hills, Queens, New York. We call ourselves Bayside, New York. We call ourselves Rockaway Beach, New York, because of the pride that we have in our communities. And, you know, since I took office and since Mayor de Blasio and many of us took office, it hasn't been an easy fight in the Rockaways and on the peninsula and down Cross Bay. It's just been one thing after the other in trying to rebuild and trying to get close to the point that we're at now. There's still further to go, but we're making headway. And we're doing it with the cooperation of so many people here today, between the civic leaders, the community leaders, all the surfers that are out there, because I hear from you all the time, from the community board to the developers to the electeds, to all of the agencies, Mr. Mayor, that you have seen in my office every month working on the Hurricane Task Force relief. And because of that, there's a citywide text amendment going on that is going to make it easier to rebuild houses pre-Sandy size.
Amen.
And that could not have been done without all of you that are sitting here as well. We've gone a long way. We have a lot more to go. But today's a great day, and it's not only a great day for the Rockaways, it's a great day for the entire borough, because these are our beaches. These are the best beaches in the entire city of New York. Sorry, Mr. Mayor.
It's all good. It's all good.
We welcome everyone, and as we continue to build, as the boardwalk continues down the peninsula, as we continue to invest money here in the Rockaways, all sides of the Rockaways, and we're excited about that, we're going to see more economic development, and we are going to balance it with the community that we are, because what's good for families is good for Queens. Thank you very much, Mr. Mayor.
I like your tagline there. I also had the honor of serving in the city council with Joe Adabo, and besides being a dear friend, I can say the Adabo name is synonymous with public service to this community and to Queens. State Senator Joe Adabo.
Thank you, Mayor. Good afternoon. Another great beach opening in Rockaway. I, too, want to thank Commissioner Silver, my good friend Commissioner Lewandowski, the entire Parks family, for their efforts, Army Corps of Engineers, and all the others. These pieces of the puzzle that we put together to form a great picture here in Rockaway. And to me, one of the most important pieces of the puzzle are the advocacy and the resilience of our people here. To the Eddie Pastoris and the Johns and the Doloreses and Danny and Linda and Jonathan. These are the people, the advocates, all of you here in Rockaway, put together to make this great picture. But the puzzle is not finished, right? We have a lot more pieces to do, as you heard, until 2017. So I look forward to getting these pieces together as we go toward that in a full, appreciate and enjoy the full pleasures of here in Rockaway. I was reminded earlier of a quote, actually by an author, Rachel Carlson, who wrote Silent Spring. She's an environmentalist and author. And she said, with every curve of the beach, with every grain of sand, the story of the earth is told. How true it is here in Rockaway and these sands. Yes, the story of the earth is told, but how about a story of resilience?
Amen.
How about a story of fighting back every time we need to speak out? That these grains of sand are represented by the people who speak out. These grains of sand definitely tell a great story here in Rockaway. I'm also reminded about Christmas time. How kids, when they're small, certainly my kids when they were smaller, used to open up a gift, a toy, and they said thank you. They were very grateful. But then they wanted the next one. They wanted more. And that's what we're here. We're grateful what we have, but we want more.
We want that PS3.
On behalf of myself, my Sandy, not the Hurricane Sandy, my Sandy Doremus from my office, we wish you the happiest and healthiest and safest of beach seasons. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
I remember as the storm was coming on, I called some of my friends here in the Rockaways. I called Senator Sanders and I called Assemblymember Goldfeder, and both of them were at their homes watching the water come toward them. And one of the things I give people a lot of credit for is when there's a danger to their community, they stay at the front. They stay where the challenge is to be of service to their community. I always give the Assembly member a lot of credit for that and then thank him for all he's done to fight for the kind of changes and improvements that this community deserves. Assemblyman Phil Goldfeder.
Thank you. I don't know if anybody here has noticed, but I think there's definitely a tale of two wardrobes, okay? I tell you this, as the Rockaway resident, I'm feeling a little embarrassed right now.
You should. You should.
It's fine. So, you know, it was so many of us who stood together on the boardwalk when it was actually boards right after Hurricane Irene. Devastated our community, and it was Senator Chuck Schumer who stood with us and promised us that the full weight of the federal government was going to be here with us. He was with us then after Irene, and he was with us here after Sandy, and it was because of Senator Schumer's effort that we have every single penny that we need, and hopefully a lot more. So thank you. And of course, as we're talking about the beach, I'd be remiss if I didn't mention my predecessor, the real champion of Rockaway, the great county clerk, Audrey Pfeffer. We talk about the changing Rockaway. Now, I'm someone who was born and raised here, and I'm raising my kids here, but Rockaway is evolving. And it was Audrey's vision who saw that we need to bring in surfing, and we have that only surfing beach because of the great work of Audrey Pfeffer. We're going to continue to work to make sure we expand it and that Rockaway is here for every single family. And of course, you heard from my elected officials, but Melinda Katz, I mean, since she has taken office, has been a champion for this community, and it is an honor, and a privilege to work with you. So thank you so much. And of course, the community members have been mentioned, but Jonathan Gaska and the community board, and everybody who sits on the community board, and everybody who works so hard. When you see them at the meetings and when you don't see them at the meetings, they never, ever stop. We have so many great leaders. It is an honor to be here with you and a part of it. And I want to say, Mr. Mayor, thank you very much. I hope that we can continue the pace that we have been working the last few days, and we'll have the boardwalk done in about 3 months. But this is going to be a long project. We have a long way to go. I'm raising my kids here. I'm very excited to keep them here. And we're going to make sure this community is great for everybody. So God bless and thank you, everybody. Thank you.
Now, I also want to mention, we've talked about our federal partners. We rely on the state to be a partner, and we've had great efforts at the state level by the Assembly member and also, of course, by Assembly member Michelle Titus. We depend on them to make sure, with all the issues around resiliency and the rebirth of this peninsula, that the state is there for us. They are strong advocates for us in Albany, and I'd like to welcome to the microphone Assembly member Michelle Titus.
This is one of the greatest traditions that we have out here in the Rockaways is the beach opening. But I really didn't want to miss this one because, as they said, we are witnessing the first start of having our boardwalk. So I definitely want to thank our mayor for his commitment to make sure that all the funding that comes here to New York is dedicated to the boardwalk and staying in the Rockaway communities as we go forward and rebuild. And, of course, as we rebuild, we are rebuilding better than before. So I'm excited about this progress that is happening here in our community. I want to thank the mayor. I want to thank the Parks Department, of course, my big sister Audrey Pfeffer for her vision that I also follow. And I want to thank all elected officials, my colleagues, for being here today, and thank the community because without you, we would not be doing this. So thank you.
Amen. Thank you. Now, I mentioned that this is both about the immediate need for resiliency and also about making sure we're doing the right things for environment so we start to change what's happening around us in the world, start to change the kind of weather we're affected by. And Donovan Richards has been a real leader in this city, not just on resiliency, but on making the changes to a different kind of lifestyle, a different set of policies that are going to make this a greener city and a city that contributes less and less with every passing year to negative climate change, and the city is going to lead the way to a more positive climate and therefore safer communities, particularly coastal communities. I want to thank him for his extraordinary efforts. Council member and chair of the New York City Council Environmental Protection Committee, Donovan Richards.
Well, good afternoon. It is an honor to be here, and first I want to thank the mayor and Commissioner Silver. I just wanted to put something on the record and be very truthful today. When I woke up this morning, the first person I thought about when I looked at my calendar relating to this event was Jonathan Gaska, because every year he comes in shorts and loafers and no socks. I wore socks, though. But I'm inspired by him every beach opening for some reason. I'm so excited to be here with all of you today to open Rockaway Beach for the start of another great summer. First off, I'd like to thank Mayor de Blasio once again, who continues to show his commitment to rebuilding and Far Rockaway and the Rockaways as a whole. Obviously, with his announcement of the $480 million today for the Boardwalk and keeping funding here is certainly continuing to move us forward. I just want to highlight some other things that he's worked on and that we've been partners on for the past few months. And I don't think he gets the credit in areas he certainly deserves a lot of the times. The capital investment that we're seeing in the Rockaways and for the entire Rockaways is historic. For many years, we have not had the amount of capital investment for this community. But if you literally drive from one end of the Rockaways to the other end of the Rockaways, you will see a heavy investment in capital infrastructure money. And I think the mayor deserves some credit for that. Our NYCHA residents, for instance, are also starting to see the benefits of safer and more secure housing. And we just started installing cameras in Ocean Bay this week. And his administration has moved fast to ensure that all of our housing development money that we put in to ensure residents are secure is here. We will also soon open a workforce training center for the first time in the Rockaways because there's a lot of work going on here, and we want to make sure that local residents have the opportunity. So that's been a big issue for many years that we've had to go to Manhattan to get training, but we will have training here for the residents thanks to Mayor de Blasio. We also are expanding and looking to bring bus rapid transit here to the Rockaways for the first time and to extend the 53 down to at least the eastern end of the Rockaways. And we're also, for the first time, thanks to the mayor, we are breaking ground in a few months on 101 new units, passive house, at the Arverney site in just 2 months. And this week, we just voted it out in the city council, the committee of land use, but we're looking to vote that out next week. I know we're here for the beach, but I just have to highlight these things. They are very important. With that being said, I'm very...
Affordable housing.
Yes, affordable housing. 101 units of affordable housing. Affordable. Because that's an important fabric of this community. With that being said, I just would like to thank, and I see Senator Sanders tried to outdress me today, but I would like to thank the mayor for his true commitment to this community. The Mott Avenue corridor, that's $7 million. We also expanding the Adabo Health Center, which is going to create jobs and also give us better health care on this peninsula. With that being said, I would like to thank you once again for your commitment. What's good for Rockaway is good for Rockaway. And I'm sorry, I had to steal a quote. But it is an honor. God bless you all. Let's continue to keep rebuilding the Rockaways. Thank you.
Tell it like it is there. That was good. Now, would you switch with Eric, please? I just want to say there are some issues where bipartisanship exists and resiliency, bringing back the Boardwalk, bringing back the Rockaways is an area of absolute bipartisan commitment. And I want to thank Eric, who has been a friend and a colleague for a long time now. And I will say also, Eric is not shy, does not have a shyness problem. And whenever I walk in or out of City Hall, he will stake me out, and I will hear his opinion. It always happens. But I want to thank him for his commitment to making sure we bring this place back stronger than ever. Councilmember Eric Ulrich.
Thank you so much. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you, Mayor de Blasio. You know, it's not fair. I always give him a hard time, and today is not going to be one of those times because you can clap for that, by the way. But
All right. That's refreshing.
The mayor has never turned a deaf ear when it came to Sandy-related issues. And there are some times that we disagree, but we're never disagreeable. We've always been friends. We served together in the council. I served with Melinda Katz as well. She was chair of the Land Use Committee at the time, and I'm honored to work with her now. Now that she's our borough president, she's doing a phenomenal job. But there's a lot of positive things going on in the Rockaways, and I know it's very easy in life sometimes to focus on some of the negative things or the things that we're not happy with, but today is all about celebrating the wonderful progress that we are making and looking forward to with great expectation and great hope to all of the good things that are to come. I know that we mentioned a lot of names and a lot of folks that have joined us here today, but I see Jerry Romsky, for instance, truly an unsung hero out here in the Rockaways, literally one house at a time, working with the Build It Back program to rebuild homes and rebuild communities out here in the Rockaways. And those are not the stories that we often hear about, because we hear about all the shortcomings and the deficiencies in government and the bureaucracies in government, but there are things that we're doing right. Mayor de Blasio's announcement today that we are spending an unprecedented amount of capital money in this community and keeping it in this community, he deserves our thanks and our gratitude. And I want to be the first and not the last one to thank him for his commitment to the Rockaways, to rebuilding this boardwalk, rebuilding this community from one end to the other. It is a seamless garment from Far Rockaway down to Breezy Point. If Sandy taught us one thing, it's that we're all in this together, we're all New Yorkers, and that with the grace of God, we're going to get through it all. So thank you, Mayor de Blasio. Thank you to the men and women of the Parks Department, the Police Department, who do a phenomenal job out here on the Rockaways, the 100th and the 101st Precinct, all our city workers, and this is Memorial Day, and I am the chairman of Veterans. I would be remiss if I did not thank the men and women of our military who have served our country, made the ultimate sacrifice, protecting the freedoms and the liberties that so often we take for granted. It's because of them that we live in this beautiful community and in the greatest country that God has ever created on the face of the earth. Thank you very much. Thank you.
Last but not least, so in the days, as I mentioned, I called Senator James Sanders Jr. as the waters were coming up in his neighborhood, and then we spent several days in the week or more following. I was out here several times with the senator. He set up, as you will remember, a relief station in his district office, and people came from all over the city, brought help, brought food, brought the things that people needed. But no one around here will forget at night how challenging it was in terms of safety and security. There were no lights, and it was a very eerie feeling, day in and day out, or night in and night out, I should say. There was no lights. It was something very unsettling, and the senator asked me, I was then public advocate, to help him find additional sources of lights, and we were able to get a substantial number of light towers brought in. But here's where it gets interesting. The light towers came in, and as you know, in the middle of emergency, things show up when they show up. They have to be brought in from other places, and so we got light towers. They came in very late one night. And then people had to figure out where to bring them, and these were folks from out of town. You know, FEMA was involved. People didn't even know the geography. And Senator Sanders proved why it is a consistent thing to say when someone is a U.S. Marine, they remain a U.S. Marine their entire life. And so he lived it out, because I was with him. I think it was literally 1 a.m. And he was bringing the trucks, leading them to where the light towers needed to be, and then working with the guys who brought the light towers to set them up. And he put his body on the situation to help get it done well into the night to make sure that there would be light that night in the Rockaway. So that's there's reason, of course, for people to want more from their elected officials. But this is a case where I saw an elected official go the extra mile, and I want to thank him for that. Senator James Sanders, Jr.
Oh, my. If you were unfortunate enough to be here 3 years ago, you were in a bad spot in the Rockaways. Yes. You're sitting on concrete today. That's because the boardwalk was ripped up and it was in back of the police precinct. Those who were here know that that was the case. Those homes over there, they look like dolls' houses. The facade was ripped off. You could actually walk into people's homes. We have come a long way in the Rockaways, a long way. We're still not there, but we've come a long way. And part of the reason we are this far ahead is because of the tallest man on the beach right now. I give you a hint, it's not me, sadly. I remember the public advocate came out here and he had lights. I said, my God, somebody finally bringing lights. Now, he was close when he said it was eerie. It was scary. This good Marine was scared. It was a scary time, and it made a lot of sense to take the show on the road and get the heck out of Dodge. Some of us stayed, and we did work. And lo and behold, next thing I know, a public advocate is saying, I have lights. I said, this is fantastic. The man came not just with one light or two, he came with dozens of lights. I have no idea where he got it, and you know what? I personally don't care. I trust it was legal. But I'm not getting into that. I'm just grateful he was able to find them. And he was insistent, and it was good, that all of the Rockaways were served, from one end to another. And this was exactly what I was talking about, so I like to hear that these lights were not simply for my district, for my part. But he started saying, what part, how do we get it into Breezy Point? How do we get it into this part? How do we get it into that part? Now, he's not telling the whole story. He volunteered me. Tell the truth, he volunteered me. He put a guilt trip on me. He said, Sanders, somebody's got to know where to put these things at. I said, yes, sir. And he said, you know the Rockaways? I said, yes, sir. You should do it. I said, no, sir. But he has a way of changing things, and he changed me, and next thing I know, I'm 2 and 3 in the morning putting out lights when I don't even have lights in my own home. So I am grateful not simply that he brought those lights, that he is continuing to be a light for our community. He is continuing to shed some light that there is one Rockaway from one end to another, and we all should benefit from whatever comes in. I am grateful that he understands that the first jobs that should come should be for Rockaway people. The first job, I'll say it again, the first jobs that should come out here should be for Rockaway people. And if they can't do it, then let's get somebody else. But we should say all of the Rockaways and let there be one Rockaways. Having said that, I feel him kicking me under the table, so I suspect that my time is up. I am grateful that we're here today. The Summer and the Rockaways, they were made for one another. Amen. Summers were born in the Rockaways, and this will be no exception. God bless you all. Thank you for doing what you're doing. Let's open the beach.
All right, we will take questions first on the topic of this announcement, and then we will take off-topic questions. On topic first.
When's the last time you went to a beach? What beach was it, and are you planning on going this summer?
Last time I went to a beach, man, I didn't get a lot of beach-going time lately. I suspect it was Coney Island, but I have to get you exactly when. We used to, before this particular experience, go to Coney Island pretty regularly, because that was the obvious closest to our house. Yes?
Do you think that 2017 is the worst-case scenario, or just based on the construction and the engineering, that's what we're looking at?
Well, that's the plan right now. As we said, and Mitch will jump in, we originally, the story was it would take till 2018. I think a lot of other people believed we could do better, so now we're at 2017. That's where we're holding right now, but we're looking for every opportunity to do things better and faster. But let's let Mitch speak to it.
Yes, 2017 is the realistic number. In terms of all the concrete portion, there are portions that are already open with wood. What will happen over the summer of 2016, they'll start converting the wood sections to concrete, but we're very confident that we can complete the project by the summer of 2017.
About the extra money for the Boardwalk resiliency projects. Can you talk about how that will coincide with what's planned from the Army Corps of Engineers reconstruction plan that's been about 50 years in the making for the peninsula, and will they tie together? And cite any specifics about resiliency for the peninsula from that extra money?
Well, yes, they'll tie together, obviously, and there's been tremendous coordination with the Army Corps. Again, I'm someone who is willing to say when I think the federal government is not present and accounted for. I think, as I talked about last week on transportation funding, for example. But in terms of FEMA, in terms of the Army Corps after Sandy, I think they've been first rate. I think they've been consistent, they've been responsible, and they've been highly coordinated with our efforts. The point as I said earlier, we don't know yet until we get there how much everything will finally cost in terms of completing the boardwalk. But what we're saying is if there is leftover funds, it will stay here and it will be for resiliency. Do you want to fill in any more blanks? Or?
If you're talking about the larger Army Corps study, as you know, that's going to take quite some time. The project will be, excuse me?
It's 2017, just like the Boardwalk.
Yes. So it's going to take quite some time for that study to be completed. Once we complete the project, see what funds are left over, there will now be a new opportunity to find out what resiliency efforts will be put in place to make Rockaway safer. So most likely those conversations will be happening before the Army Corps completes their study.
On topic from our friends in the media, yes.
Mr. Mayor, you talked about the need for children and adults.
Yes.
I understand you try to get into the swimming program to the park department. It can be a long way to allow classes to full. Have you added resources to that program? How likely is it if you were to try to sign up for that there's availability? How much?
Mitch will speak to the specifics. We are trying to make sure that those availabilities exist through either Parks Department or obviously YMCAs and lots of other places in this city where there is the opportunity to get that swimming instruction and learn how to swim. So Mitch will speak to where we stand. We're also going to be looking forward for other opportunities to build that up further.
Now, we have a variety of swimming programs, Learn to Swim, Swim for Life. This is the first time I'm hearing that there are some issues, but I will certainly ask my staff, but our job is that anybody who wants to swim and is willing to swim, we will find a location and place for them to do that.
On topic, yes.
Material concrete, composite wood is also coming to Coney Island. You're going to see tonight, stretch forward, that's Bright Beach. Both council members there and the public advocate and numerous community members have said they feel that really depreciates their experience at Boardwalk, their experience at the beach. They called on you to not use this sort of material there. Yet Parkwood has pushed ahead this initiative under the last administration. Why does this continue to go forward over the objectives of the council?
I'll let Mitch speak to it. You know, I think what we do in the executive branch is we listen to legislators for sure, and we work with community leaders, but we also have to make the decision ultimately that we think is in the greatest interest of the community for the long term and be accountable for it. The beauty of our democratic system is every decision I make it's out in the open and I'm held accountable. We think resiliency is the most important consideration. We need to make sure that our boardwalks are going to be there for the long haul, and obviously, again, they're part of the defensive structure in general. So we make the decisions with that in mind. I certainly understand why people liked a lot of what they had in the past, but we've got to do something that'll work for the future. You want to add?
We recognize the historic nature of the Coney Island Boardwalk, but we also understand the reality of climate change. We went out of our way, and this is available on our website, to examine all the available material. In terms of the tropical hardwood, would destroy part of the rainforest, which contributes to climate change. Plus, in terms of concrete and recycled plastic, and you're seeing it right here before you, is what Coney Island will have. It has a longer life cycle. Concrete is 60 years. Recycled plastic is well over 25 years. We want to build a boardwalk that is built to last, easier to maintain, and will protect the community. So we have the information on our website in terms of the analysis of all the various materials, and we are confident that we're building a stronger and better boardwalk in Coney Island.
Amen. On topic, yes.
Before you started, you were speaking to some residents, so all the passion for the reopening. Some people are complaining, though, that it seems to be taking long to set in other areas. A couple of people mentioned Long Beach, they mentioned Coney Island, and so much longer. Why
I'll let Mitch explain. I mean, we feel good that we've sped up the process, and again, we're going to make this exceedingly resilient, which I think is something people care about deeply. But you can talk about any comparative dynamics here.
Comparing Long Beach and this location is really comparing apples and oranges. They took a very quick approach. We decided to go with concrete, a much more resilient approach. You can see the berms and everything that went into it. So it's unfair to compare, but in terms of the schedule, we are on schedule. And as I stated, it was expected this will be completed by 2018. It'll now be a year earlier. We're working with all the challenges in terms of the pipe plovers and how we cannot do certain sections, but we're committed to meet the summer of 2017, and that is the original time frame.
Okay, going once on topic for our friends in the media. On topic.
Portions of the boardwalk that will be completed by 2017 in the original section, knowing how much of a protective measure this boardwalk is there a concern that those parts of the peninsula that don't have the new boardwalk will be less protected if there is a hurricane from this hurricane season or next hurricane season?
Look, this is the bigger question about resiliency in general. We have a huge resiliency effort underway that is going to go on over the next few years in this city, and probably, in effect, permanently we'll be working on resiliency. Obviously, a lot of federal money, state money, city money being put into it. We all know that there's the danger at any given point there might be another hurricane of that kind of magnitude. But our job is to move each resiliency effort as quickly as humanly possible. In this case, I'm convinced that's what's happening. I also want to note that the Army Corps' efforts are happening, and all that sand that's put in is part of this effort. That's happening even while this is still being worked on. Okay? Before it rains too much, let's go to off-topic. Off-topic, Dana.
Yesterday, Cuomo administration officials said the state was making a concerted effort to close Indian Point. Do you have any thoughts on that effort and whether it's,
I think it's the right goal, but as I've said before, we have to have the alternative energy supply in place. So I think we'd all love to see it closed as soon as possible, but we have to have a realistic replacement capacity for the people of this city.
With Commissioner Bratton, who said last week that in order to protect the city from the terrorist threat, 400 new cops need to be added to the force.
I'm impressed by your question. I think you know me by now. When we have something to say on the budget, we will certainly speak to that. But I think the bottom line is that this is the most advanced police force in the country in terms of fighting terror. Huge amount of resources being applied, better than ever relationship with the FBI and the other federal agencies, and any budgetary considerations we'll continue to talk with the council about.
I'm not asking about the budget, I'm asking about the terrorist threat. If you think that...
I believe that what's being done now is extraordinary and effective, and we'll be in constant consultation with, obviously, PD on what they need and where we want to go from here. But I also remind you, any resources that the commissioner needs within the PD to fight terror would be deployed instantly. That's an article of faith. Anytime he needs to draw resources from other types of work for anti-terror activities, that's a given. That happens automatically.
Yeah, the closing of the Chelsea SED clinic is something I know has been brought to the attention of Deputy Mayor Lillian Barrios Paoli. Can you talk about how your administration planned for replacing the resources that were at that clinic? And are you going to spend the money that a lot of advocates are asking for to replace those services until that clinic reopens?
Again, I always try to be careful if I don't have the details. I don't want to speak beyond my knowledge. We will follow up with the deputy mayor and the health commissioner and get you a detailed question. I think it's fair to say our health commissioner, Mary Bassett, has been extremely careful and conscientious about making sure resources are available to the community, but we'll get you a more specific answer. We're going to close it down there because of rain. My apologies.